Welcome back to Acuity Acumen, where we illuminate leadership and inspire change. I am your host, Deanna Armstrong. Today's conversation is about leadership, identity, understanding who you are, how your experiences shape how you lead, and what it means to show up with clarity and intention during pivotal moments. I am joined today by Antoine Andrews, leadership advisor and founder of A² Coaching, and former Chief Diversity and Social Impact Officer at SurveyMonkey. Antoine's journey has shaped a powerful philosophy. Leadership begins with understanding your root, honoring your rhythm, and expanding your reach. In this episode, we explore leadership transitions, self-awareness, and resilience. So let's begin. Welcome to the show, Antoine.
Well, thank you, Deanna. I'm glad to be here with you.
Thank you. I think that would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience. I think you'll do a way better job than I. So who is Antoine Andrews?
Yeah, I always think that's an interesting question for me, or just in general, because I think what I've learned is that who we are really shapes what we choose to do. And so I always start as, I'm raised in Newark, New Jersey. And what Newark, New Jersey really taught me, it taught me resilience, it taught me identity, but it also taught me about owning my narrative and story. And so throughout my life, I've always held on to that as I got into leadership. But, Antoine, I've been able to lead organizations, some global organizations, Nike, Gap Inc., Symantec, did some nonprofit work at Europe, and most notably, I was former Chief Diversity and Social Impact Officer at SurveyMonkey. And throughout my time, I think what's been critical for me, I've realized that the leaders who have really sustained growth and sustained performance have really known who they were, and they led from that space. So I'm glad to be here and talk to you about leadership and what it means to lead from a space of knowing who you are.
Knowing who you are. So what is leadership?
Yeah.
That's everybody has a different version of it, but we'd like to know, as a foundation for our conversation, what does leadership mean to you?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest components for me is I think about leadership, and we tend to hear folks talk about leadership through the lens of outcomes and performance-based. For me, I think leadership is really designed around helping people understand the experience that they're having at work. And I think for me, it's culture shaping. Leaders understanding what it means to be able to understand that everything that they reward, what they tolerate, and really what they, the consequences they set, really sets leadership. So for me, leadership is not a title. It's not a position, right? Leadership is an action.
It's an action. Interesting. So when you think about the leadership actions that you've taken, you've mentioned that you've worked across different types of industries. You've worked in the Nike industry, right? I don't know if that would be considered
retail, athletics, right, sports.
You mentioned that you've worked in nonprofit. So what leadership mindset have you developed that you were able to cross and have significant roles across different types of industries? Just curious.
Yeah, I think regardless of the industry, the pace, the business model, for me, leadership is all about people. You think about it, regardless of what they are, what it is, I think about people aren't resources, they are the source. And so if you focus on understanding people, understanding the signals behind people, the humanity of the people, the results are gonna follow all the time.
Results will follow.
And so for me, one of the things that's always been centered across all of the industries have been people. And I think for me, what I've learned is that people deliver results, right? And that's important. People, but I think the belief in those people is where you see their trajectory take off. And so for me as a leader, it's important for me to make sure I'm signaling to the folks on my team through feedback how important they are and what that means to them.
Okay, so you said the belief in the people. So I guess that means building trust.
It's trust. I think
so
trust.
So how do you do that then?
Yeah, listening. I think for me, what's important is that title and role cannot drive trust. It's really listening. I am very curious. Curiosity drives all of my leadership style. I ask a lot of questions. I want to make sure I'm exploring what's important to people. And so if I understand what's important to people, when I join any organization, one of the things I like to do is ask, what does success look like for you in your context? And so understanding where trust is, where it's strong, where it needs to be reinforced. So for me, I think building trust is about consistency and curiosity.
Consistency and curiosity, which can kind of be opposites too, because it depends on the culture that you mentioned, like the culture of that organization. Is there a tolerance for failure? Is there a tolerance for asking questions? And I guess that's something that you bring along with you, is bringing that culture and that openness and helping other people to see that it's okay to be curious.
Well, at the core of this is knowing who I am. And so when I go into a place, it's really hard for me to be somebody else because everybody else is taken, right? And so for me, I try to make sure curiosity is what I lead with. I have a statement I say to every manager, regardless if it's the CEO, if it's regardless a board member, I say you're gonna get three things with me. You're gonna get a peer, you're gonna get a direct report, and you're gonna get a coach. I don't know when those three are gonna show up, but more than likely, you're gonna be expecting a direct report and you're getting a coach and it's gonna feel really awkward at that moment. So I give you that up front to say, we'll have to work through that. And so for me, when you talk about how I show up, I try to show up and tell you who I am before we get into a moment where there's friction or there's a moment where we have some uncertainty on where to go.
Would you consider that being your authentic self?
I am my authentic self. I have this concept around authenticity ratio where I believe we have to make a choice on how much of our authentic selves we show in every space. We can't allow the space to dictate how authentic we are. And if I make a decision to say, I'm only gonna give you 70%, I've made that choice and I feel good about it.
How do you do that, being a young guy from Newark, New Jersey?
Yeah, it took me some time. Like when I first got into the corporate world, that wasn't what I felt. I felt like I had to be somebody else. I had to change how I spoke. One of the things that was critical for me is I'm a huge sneakerhead. I love sneakers. And I kind of got away from that, right? And I realized I was with a mentor, and a mentor said, don't you own a lot of sneakers? I said, I do. And I said, why? She's like, why don't you wear them? I said, well, professionalism. She was like, no, let that be your thing. And so it took time for me to realize that in order to be a better leader, in order to deliver better results, I had to be closer and aligned with who I am. And so you just learn over time, and it's back to that authenticity ratio. I make a decision on how much of me I give to anyone.
And I like that you're saying the ratio, because some people feel like they could be their authentic selves and they bring their whole self to work, but there's a balance between that.
Yeah.
There are some things that you shouldn't bring to work.
I've heard people say that when I bring this up, and I don't believe that because we never give anyone our full authentic self. We're never our full authentic self when another person is around. My parents are here, and they don't see the 100% of me. Out of respect, out of a lot of different ways, and I think when you are dating someone or you meet their parents, you show up in a different way, let's be honest.
Oh, do you?
You show up you show up in a different way, but that's okay. And so you're right, bringing your full self to any space all the time can be a recipe for disaster, but people learn.
And it can be taxing too.
Yeah, and so that choice is important for me because when I make that choice of where I'm going to show, I feel much better about it, and I am 100% of that 70% I've given you.
I like that. And one of the things that you talked about, or that when I was doing research on you, is that you help people navigate change, societal change, all types of different changes, and that brings up navigating in times of uncertainty. And the last few years have been very uncertain about a plethora of things. What skills do you, I don't know if it's a skill set, or how do you help people navigate that, or how do you yourself navigate uncertainty? Yeah,
it's a process, right? But the belief that certainty is false. There's not a certainty, and understanding that being focused and having some certain way of thinking does not mean rigidity. And so for me, I think about certainty in a way of, as long as I understand the context that I'm in, I'm able to navigate and actually make adjustments to my actions, to my tactics, to how I show up. But I think sometimes as leaders, we believe we have to deliver certainty, even when certainty doesn't exist. And really what employees and people on our teams are looking for is they're looking for context, they're looking for honesty. And if you help people understand why they need to change, how they change is much easier.
Yes, yes, I like that. We're walking through this together, kind of bringing up your coaching part, right?
Right.
Sometimes I'm your coach, sometimes I'm your peer, sometimes, yeah, I like that. And thinking about, you've worked across all these different organizations. Can you give us an example of when you've helped manage through, or a company that got it right when they were managing, they were facing a situation and they got it right?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest pieces of, companies go through reductions in force.
Yes.
Those things happen, unfortunately. And I think getting it right is understanding your why behind it, whether it's cost, whether it's, we're moving in different directions, and being transparent about the why, and actually having the real conversations. And so I remember going through this when we were during COVID. We had to make changes as an organization because, the customers weren't as it wasn't a plethora of customers. But having a real conversation with employees as we were letting them go, we really got it right. Now, it didn't feel good as we were doing it. But
So what was right about it?
People appreciated the authenticity, but people appreciated the care in which we had the conversation. One-on-one. It was out explaining the impact they're having, but also understanding where the business is and giving them that and understanding how hard it is and giving people the space to be angry with us.
Yes.
And we didn't do it. We did it. Each one of them was one-on-one. I remember.
Personalized.
I remember I probably in that one day had about 25 calls, and each call was different. We had a script, but the one of the things when our HR team was like, don't leverage the script. Leverage what you know about the individual. That's right, but that's human-centered. And that's what makes it right. Any decision you're making around talent, if it's human-centered, it feels right.
Speaking of human-centered, I think there are a lot of folks that are a little concerned about this machine learning era that we're in, artificial intelligence, worrying that it will take their jobs. And I believe that as AI gets better at being AI, we have to be better at being human and human-centered. What is your advice for those who are late in their career or earlier in their career about navigating this era of AI?
Yeah, AI is definitely here and it's here to stay. I think that's the first thing. But I think if we look at it as an investment versus a replacement, that is a huge piece. You invest, you learn, and we have to bring employees and folks along on why this is important along the learning journey. We can't just say from the top, you all have to use AI now, or this is how you use it. We have to have the conversation around why it's important and make it feel like it's an investment in them. Some of us you get better. We're all using AI in some form or fashion. And I think we forget that the autocorrect on our phone is a sign of an AI.
Right.
So we've been using it for some time.
For a long time. Yes.
It annoys us at times. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say. And so that it's an investment because I know I'll be transparent. I know sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure how to spell this word, and I'll just start it, and it finishes for me.
Yes.
But that's an investment. It actually helps me out where I'm not sending texts or emails with incorrect spelling. So I think if you use that language around investment versus replacement, and right now we're having this replacement conversation, we should shift to having this investment conversation. So when I think about investment, it's also skill sets. So we need to upskill and reskill in a lot of cases. What attributes or skills do you think will be even more important as we're going through this journey? Yeah, the prompts that we are giving AI are the key to how effective AI.
What is a prompt?
So a prompt is when you pick your ChatGPT and you ask it, can I do this? It's going to say yes, and it'll give you something. But if you shift that to an open-ended question, how should I be thinking about this research? Or what am I missing? Here's what I have. It gives you a much more broader perspective. A lot of times we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And if you ask the right questions, back to my curiosity, it'll help you open up. And so AI can help you in that sense. You're going to have to go back and check it. But instead of asking you, can you do this or do this for me, ask the why and the what and the whys. And it'll give you more. That prompt will give you more information back, which will allow you to go back and then invest in you and allow you to upskill of here's how I think we should be thinking about it in the business. Is that?
Right, it's a thought partner, is what you're saying, and also making you challenge your status quo and the way you're thinking and help you level up, like you said. So I like that.
Yeah, and I think there's an upskilling with AI as well. If you use it enough, it gets to understand you. You can say, this is not what I'm trying to say. Let's not have this come up anymore. And you get to get stronger in your connection with AI.
Oh yes, and I tell you tell AI who you are. I can say, hey, I'm a mom. We're looking to get some food. It'll ask you, well, how old are your children? What types of things do they like? Are they allergic to anything? And then it'll make me a menu for a month. Would you like snacks too? So you tell AI who you are. I live in the South. I don't like this type of food or that. So I like that too.
I'll give you a little insight. I've named my AI as what I'm working with. So I named him Tony.
Why Tony?
Tony Morrison. I love Tony Morrison.
Okay.
And so I've been explaining why Tony Morrison is important to me. And so we engage in that way. And instead of calling me Antoine, my friends call me A2.
A2.
So I said, A squared. So I said, call me A2. And so it's that connection. You talk about a thought partner. I'm engaging with, an intelligence that's helping me.
Yes. And if you're not using AI, I highly recommend it. I mean, you will upskill.
I agree.
It will challenge you, but you do have to make sure that information is valid.
You do. You do.
You still have to check for truth because it is just a robot too, but definitely about that. You talk a lot about values and company values, and you said that it requires hands and hearts. I think you've given us examples with the situation with like the layoff situation that you had. But can you just talk a little more about that? Because I know you've done a lot of work on that specific topic.
I think back to my point of people are at the center. And so if you think about in order to get the best performance and have people go from just surviving to flourishing, you really have to spend time understanding people, understanding their lived expertise, and what does that look like. And so for me, the heart is, now if I show you I care, when I have to give you really tough feedback, it's care. It's back, it's done with care, and you receive it as, you're really trying to help me. And so that's at the core of everything for me in a leadership space, is that if I show you and demonstrate to you consistently, I care about you. That means when you're getting great feedback or feedback that allows you that you need to change, you see them in the same sense.
Yes.
And so that's important for me. And so that's that care and that heart component for me as I think about people, because people just want to they want to flourish. And back to that point on, if I show belief in you, opportunities change outcomes. Belief change trajectory.
Say that again.
Opportunities, right? Change outcomes.
Change outcomes.
Belief change trajectory. And if I believe in you, you believe you can accomplish anything.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the trajectory.
I can conquer
We don't
the
talk
world.
about outcomes and beliefs. You just say, I can do whatever. And you think about, well, I still can. I'll move on. That's, I think that is important to me. And I think about my time growing up in Newark. One coach, one teacher, just one person believing in a student or someone changed their trajectory tremendously. And that is, like, my mentors saw the talent in me before I did. And so it was like, well, I guess I can.
There are two things that I think about, because I think the opposite can be the same too, right? That somebody says that you can't do something and they're in the position of authority that can thwart your growth for sure. So exactly. I think that's even more important when you are in those key roles, that you make sure that you're using that power for the good to support those people. Would you say that empathy and heart are the same thing, or is that different?
I think heart is just a care. Empathy is seeing through somebody else's eyes. And so for me, if I think about empathy, it's understanding where they sit and how things are showing up for them. And so I'll give you an example. Working with someone on a team, they do something, they had a report that they were running. I know they wanted it to be right. It wasn't. My empathy was, I know they did everything they could to make sure it was right. So I dug more into understanding, how did they get to that point? Ask more questions, asking, well, why not this? Well, I didn't think about that. We got to the outcome. My empathy was not on the outcome. It was the input on that individual. And so for me, the hard as I care, sometimes the empathy doesn't show up because I'm not really, in those situations as a leader. When I'm thinking about all the work you put into it, we just got to redo this report.
Right. At the end of the day, we need to get the business done.
And if I start with, we just got to redo this report, I miss all of what they tried to do, the learning, the development that could happen in this moment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We talked a few times about mentors.
Mm-hmm.
What does mentorship mean to you, and what's the difference between mentorship and sponsorship?
Yeah, it's a fine line between the two. But for me, if I think about mentorship, it's advocacy, not advice. Sometimes we think as mentors, we're just giving advice. It's advocacy. It's how you open doors, how you provide context. For me, it's actually a leadership skill. It's a leadership skill. And so from a sponsorship perspective, if you are mentoring somebody, you are doing that every day, every opportunity. You're thinking about where the spaces they could be, mm-hmm. where there are opportunities for them to be in the long term. So that piece around advocacy, for me, is mentorship. If you get caught up in the advice, and I think that's the reason why we both say coaching, because I don't have all the answers. You have some more answers than I do.
You are equipped, yes.
You are equipped. I just have some questions that may help you unlock it. I still may not be able to help you figure out what you want to do. And that's the difference for me, advocacy. We all have advice and we all want to give advice, but that doesn't mean it's right for that individual. So that's for me, advocacy and making room for people. I think sometimes I want that context because we tell somebody here's what they should do, but provide them none of the context on why. Context matters.
Yes. And you mentioned something, making room for people. You're a young guy from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
All the way, I'm sure you probably lived a lot of places.
Yes.
Who made room for you to help you get on the trajectory to be in the C-suite? Because there are not a lot of people that get to that level.
Yeah, I had a lot of mentors. I still stay in contact with them. I think for me, those people not only made room for me, they actually said out loud, I think you're talented. And for me, in some moments where I didn't think I was as talented, maybe not as close to what they thought at that time, those mentors, I talked about my mentor who I still stay in contact. I just saw her 2 weeks ago about my sneakers. Amazing woman, amazing leader. Always until this day finds space for me. Like, hey, have you talked to this person? I think that would be great for you to meet. End up on a board because of that. Mm-hmm. And so those folks, managers, folks who I just come in contact with, in its sense. But for me, I stay in contact with. I'm meeting with one of my favorite managers next week. She is someone who I work with and always provides me insights and perspectives in that sense. Making room.
Right, making room. So what are some of the things you do to stay in touch? Because we're all living fast-paced lives. Do you have a routine?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, one text message is always it. Right? Sometimes it doesn't need to be a big thing. It's a text message. My mentor, her name is Bobby. We share sneaker stories. Hey, here's a sneaker I'm going to get. So that's one. The other thing is I just reach out. Have you seen this? Or have you seen something on TV? And sometimes I just sit down on my phone and go back and through and talk to send text messages or call people who I just haven't talked to in a while. My routine is just trying to think about who haven't I talked to in a while.
What's a while? 5 years? 15
No,
years?
it's like a couple of months.
Okay.
A couple of months. Folks that are in my rotation, I try to talk to them at least, every 3 or 4 months in a text message and a phone call.
And you're not always asking for something.
Deanne, say that again.
You're not always asking for something. You're providing something of value. Hey, I saw this article. Check this out.
I think that's it. That's important because the outreach has to be sometimes, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing? Can't always be, I need something for you. Mm-hmm. The biggest moment was when my mentor reached out to me and said, hey, I need your perspective on something. I was blown away.
Like me?
Yeah, but if you're always asking for something, it's not a mentorship. It's a grab. And so for me, I think that's a great point. Sometimes I'm just reaching out to say, hey. Mm-hmm. And so when I reached out and told folks, what I was doing with the business, they were already in the know. it wasn't like, hey, I need your help with this. Community matters to me. So when you ask that question, community matters to me. Growing up in Newark, New Jersey, in a housing project, that's all I had was the community. And so it's the same thing. I came with my community today.
Yes, you did. He has about 30 people here, guys.
It's more like 25.
So yes, I don't want to get in trouble with my laughing, but yes, he made me laugh. I know. But so what have you done to pay it forward?
I always tell a story. One of my assistant, she told me, you can't meet with all these people all the time. You're never going to get your work done.
Oh, okay.
And so if anyone reaches out to me and wants to talk, I'll find 30 minutes. I mean, sometimes I'm not. She was fine in the 30 minutes. But it's because, I don't know. I always think about, I want to be the leader I didn't have when I was younger in my career. And sometimes that is just giving people 15, 20 minutes. And so what do is I spend time, mentoring folks, CEOs, anybody who's wants to figure out what to do in their career, transitional moments. But Deanna, that all started really for me in a tough leadership moment. I had somebody on my team who I really respected, did great work, and I didn't think she was going to get where she needed to be on my team. And so I supported her going out and looking for opportunities.
Internal, or when you say out, external?
Anywhere to help her grow. But the issue was, I didn't tell her how much she meant to me and the team. And so when she started to do that, I realized I didn't say it out loud, what I'm trying to do.
Did she think you were trying to get rid of her then?
She had a sense of, like, perception. I thought I was a part of the team. He's open with me trying to do that. And so for me, right now, how I pay it forward is everybody I come in contact with, I give them a nugget. I leave people with nuggets. Or, hey, if you want to spend some time or talk again, let me know. And I always finish with this. Listen, I know a lot of people say this. If you have that thought of, oh, he's just saying that, X that thought out and reach out. Because I wanna be open. And what does it take? 15, 20 minutes. I've had over 30 years of experience in a lot of things. And so I try to give people just time. My time is important, and I offer up my time.
That's fantastic. And I know you have some younger people in your family. What nuggets would you like to give to them today as we come, I think we're coming to a close? What are a couple of things that you want to make sure our audience knows about leadership or navigate, whichever thing you want?
Leadership. One is about leadership is that the key piece is understanding who you are, what your values are, and what your purpose is. That may change over time. So understand that. And try to find the way of understanding the gap between how you are leading, how you're showing up, and your root. So your root, understanding that, and then understanding your rhythm, meaning how you show up, your cadence, how are you spending time with people. And I think the last piece is that reach. When you get the first two right, your reach expands because people want to meet you. So that's one. I think the other thing is have some fun.
Have fun. Right, we didn't. So what do you do for fun?
One is, I didn't want to get you in trouble with a whole bunch of laughing. I love making people laugh. It's just a part of, and it's a part of.
Well, you should have worn the Eddie Murphy red leather suit
so that's
like we talked about. So I thought maybe you didn't have the talent to do it. Now you're telling me you're a comedian. Okay.
No, I will say this. I think I'm funnier than I am, so I laugh harder at my jokes than other people do. But that doesn't matter.
So do you have like a dry sense of humor? Or?
I have all kind of sense of humor.
Give me an example. I'm just messing.
Don't you start. But I think it's important. We just talked about these amazing books that we have on here. It's like, I have some too. I don't think I've opened them, but they're sitting everywhere. So I think that's important. But I think that's important. Have fun. You're growing. You are challenging yourself. You're learning. Don't take everything so seriously, and definitely don't take yourself so seriously.
Okay.
So that's it. And then I think the third piece of all of this around leadership is understanding that we always think of leadership as leading. You're not a great leader if you don't have followership. If people aren't willing to follow
who are you leading?
If people aren't willing to follow you, you're not a leader. You're just a point. And I'll just close. I watched a bad movie. I don't remember the movie, but it was a quote that one of the generals said. He said, "A leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." Mm-hmm. Leadership is an action, not a position.
Yes.
And that is the piece that always sticks with me. If I don't know, I got to know the way, right? I got to show you, but I got to go with you. I can't send you off. And if you think about a title as leadership, you missed the boat.
Yes, I often ask that, like when I'm doing talks. I ask people who's a leader in the room, and only the people managers raise their hand. Like, do you have to be a people manager to be a leader? No, we're all leaders. Mm-hmm. You have to own it, walk in it, and make it happen. Like, we can all do that. 3 things from you, or maybe 2 or 3. What book would you recommend? Last great book you read? Toni Morrison, I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's this. I got 2 books. Can I give you 2 books?
I said 1.
I'm going to give you 2.
No, 1.
All right, I'm going to call them.
I'm going to say a book, a podcast.
All right, so I'll give you a book.
Okay.
There's a book that I love. It's called Ikigai. It's Ikagai.
Okay.
It's really, they talk to Japanese centurions and tell people, they really talk about how do you live to be 100 years old?
You want to live to be 100?
I want to live as long as I can. Isn't that the goal? Isn't that the goal?
That's what I thought, but I have some people that think differently.
Yeah, I want to live as long as I can.
Me too. We're in the same boat.
Yeah,
some of my friends don't think that.
I want to live as long as I can. But one of the things in that book, it talks about find something you love and you can get paid to do. And that was in the opening, and it was like, I love what I do. I've always loved what I do, and I could get paid for it. So Ikigai is one.
You could do a book.
Another book?
You could do your other book, yes.
All right, 4 Pivots by Dr. Sean Gimwright. It's an amazing book. Talks about going from transactional to transformational. But in the book, he has a piece where he talks about folks who created cathedrals. Mm-hmm. They created the architect of the cathedrals, knowing they would never see them built. And I think about that. We're working on things as people, as individuals, and you may never see it come to fruition, and being okay with that.
And we didn't plan this, but my last question is, what pivotal moment in your career defined you as a leader?
That's a great question. And I think for me, it was that moment I realized that people will follow me. Like, I didn't realize.
You like surprised.
I was surprised. I was just like, it was a point, and it was not long ago. It wasn't long ago. I was working. I left Europe to go to SurveyMonkey, and I asked a couple people, I'm going to get this new job. Would you be open to coming with me? And they were like, yeah. And that for me was an eye-opener, because when you're working with somebody, they're like, oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. When you leave and they're like, whew. But for them to follow me,
like, yes.
I had 3 people follow me. 1 I worked with at Semantic, and 2 I worked with at Year Up. And I think I was blown away by that. But back to, made me care even more. It's like, I now am responsible for these individuals. So that was a pivotal moment for me, realizing that as a leader, people trust me enough with their career.
That's fantastic, right? They're leaving their job to follow you. Was it in the same town, or did they even follow you physically?
Yeah, 1 person had to move from one state to another state.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I can see that. I can see the empathy, the genuineness in you as we talk. So thank you so much for joining us today, Antoine.
Well, thank you. I thank you for making a space for these conversations. They're important. I think shifting the way people think about leadership outside of just performance and outcomes, to have people talk about it in a human-centered way, is important. So thank you for hosting these, and thank you again for inviting me.
You're welcome. I'm excited, and thank you, JD, for introducing Antoine
yes.
and I.
Shout out to JD.
Yes, we appreciate you so much, and thank you all for joining us today for this conversation with Antoine Andrews. One of the strongest takeaways from today's discussion is that leadership is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you are and who you've always been to your root, and leading from a place of intention and clarity and empathy. If this conversation resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe, share the episode, and continue the dialogue with us. This is the Acuity Plus Acumen Leadership Podcast, where we illuminate leadership and inspire change. Take care. Thanks for joining us on Acuity Plus Acumen. I hope you found today's episode filled with insights that inspire change and drive your leadership forward. In a rapidly evolving industry, your role as a leader is crucial. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to catch our upcoming discussions. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Armstrong Walker Coaching and Consulting. Are you ready to elevate your impact? Reach out for personalized coaching or to explore Acuity Plus Acumen Leadership Institute. Together, we can illuminate leadership and inspire change. Keep leading boldly and making an impact. Until next time.